So, when you hear the word marketing, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Annoying ads? Maybe a pushy salesperson? Yeah, for a lot of us, the word just kind of has this negative vibe. But today, we're going to dig into what marketing really is. And I promise you, it's a whole lot deeper and way more interesting than just trying to sell you something. Let's start with a really big question. What is the true goal of any business? I mean, the obvious answer is to make money, right? And look, profits are absolutely essential, but they're not the core purpose. The real goal, well, that's the foundation for everything we're about to cover. The true goal is to create a customer. Just let that sink in for a second. See, a sale, that's a one-time thing. It's a transaction. But a customer, that implies a relationship. It's someone who trusts you, who wants to come back, and who sees value in what you offer beyond just that one single purchase. And that right there is the huge shift from old school selling to modern marketing. Okay, so if marketing isn't just about selling, then what is it? Well, here's the formal definition. Marketing is the entire process. We're talking about creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging things that have real value for customers. The key words here are process, value, and customers. It's not just one department over in the corner. It's the engine that drives the whole business, and it's all focused on one thing: serving the customer. All right, let's jump into our first section. Here, we're going to unpack how marketing evolved from, just pushing products out the factory door to becoming a core philosophy that's all about building lasting relationships. So here's the crucial point. The number one goal of modern marketing is to build that relationship. It's about creating a long-term connection where both you and the customer feel like you're winning. It's way more of a partnership than it is a simple transaction. And listen, this isn't just some feel-good, fluffy idea. It's incredibly smart business. It is almost always more profitable to keep a customer you already have happy than it is to constantly be out there chasing new ones. A loyal customer gives you predictable revenue. And even better, they become your biggest fan, your best advocate. That's where the real economic power of building relationships comes from. So how did we get to this customer-first way of thinking? Because it wasn't always this way, not by a long shot. Let's do a quick little time travel back to see how this revolutionary idea actually came to be. Way back during the Industrial Revolution, the big challenge was just making stuff. If you could build it, people would buy it. That was the production era. Then you fast forward to the 1920s, and factories got so good, so efficient, that they were making too much stuff. Suddenly, the focus shifted to selling whatever was piling up in the warehouse. And hello, high-pressure sales tactics. But then, in the 1950s, a totally new idea started to take hold. What if? What if we started by asking people what they actually want, and then we just made that? That, right there, was the birth of the marketing era. This chart just lays out the two worldviews perfectly. The old way, the sales orientation, is what we call inside out. It starts at the factory with what the company needs, and it just pushes products onto the market. The new way, the marketing orientation, is outside in. It starts by deeply understanding the customer's needs and then works backward to create the perfect solution, trusting that profits will naturally follow from genuine satisfaction. And this whole revolutionary outside-in idea, well, it has a name: the marketing concept. It's this powerful philosophy that says a business exists to satisfy customer needs, and every single part of that organization should be working together to make that happen. It's truly about serving, not just selling. Okay, so a customer-first philosophy sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? In this next part, we'll look at the strategic tools marketers used to turn that philosophy into a real, concrete plan. Look, any solid marketing strategy really boils down to two key decisions. First, who are you serving? That's what we call your target market. And second, how are you going to serve them? That is your marketing mix. If you can get these two things right, you are well on your way. You just can't be everything to everyone, right? It's impossible. So, smart marketers start with a big, broad market. That's everyone who could possibly buy their product. Then, they slice it up into smaller groups or segments that have things in common, like, say, all coffee drinkers. And finally, they choose the one specific group that they are perfectly set up to serve. That becomes their target market. And Rolls-Royce is the perfect example. They don't try to sell a car to everybody. No way. They know exactly who their customer is. A very small, very specific group that wants nothing less than ultimate prestige and craftsmanship. And every single decision they make, from the design of the car to the ads they run, is built to serve that one target market perfectly. So once you've figured out your who, you have to figure out the how. And this is where the famous marketing mix comes into play. You can think of it as the recipe of actions you create to specifically appeal to your target market. It's often called the 4 Ps. And here they are. First, you've got product. That's what you're actually offering, from the design to the packaging. Then there's price, which is what the customer pays, including any discounts or special offers. Distribution, sometimes people call it place, is all about how you get that product to them. Is it in stores? Is it online? And finally, you have promotion. This is how you communicate with your customers, through advertising, social media, the whole shebang. A great marketing mix makes sure all 4 of these work together perfectly to create a seamless experience. So, we have our philosophy, the marketing concept. We have our strategy, the target market and the marketing mix. Now, how do we bring it all together to make sure it actually, works? Let's look at the final piece of this puzzle. Well, that happens through a marketing plan. Think of this as the official roadmap, the game plan that gets everyone in the entire company on the same page. It spells out your goals, your strategy, who's responsible for what, and exactly how you're going to measure success. It's what turns all those great ideas into real action. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. You can have the most beautiful plan in the world, but if it's all based on guesswork, it's going to fail. Every single one of these decisions, from picking your target market to setting your price, has to be fueled by solid information. And that's exactly why marketing research is so critical. It's not about just throwing out some random survey and hoping for the best. It's a systematic process. You start by clearly defining the problem, you plan out how you'll research it, you go gather the facts, and then you interpret that information to guide your strategy. This crucial information comes from everywhere. Marketers look at internal data, things like their own sales figures. They use external sources, like industry reports. And of course, they conduct their own direct research, like surveys and focus groups, to hear straight from the customer's mouth. All of these sources are vital for making smart, informed decisions. Which brings us right back to where we started. This whole process shows that modern marketing isn't about manipulation. It's really the exact opposite. It's not about finding clever ways to trick people into buying something they don't really need. It's actually about empathy. It's about research. It's about genuinely understanding what a specific group of people needs, and then using all the resources of a business to build the absolute perfect solution for them. And when you do that, you don't have to sell in the old-fashioned sense, because you've created something people truly want. So I'll leave you with this. Whether you're running a business or you're just a consumer yourself, always ask this question: what problem is this truly solving? Because the best marketing, and honestly, the best businesses, are the ones that can answer that question with perfect clarity. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.